Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm gonna go over the new Flower and CBD Chill Out Color Corrector. So it comes in a little box. It comes like this. And I'm going to go over like the texture, the color, how to use it, and what I think. I've been using it for a couple days now since I picked it up. Yeah, so if that's something that you guys are interested in watching, definitely stick around. If you haven't subscribed, I highly recommend that you do, because you know it's fun to be here with me and talk about makeup and review makeup. And don't forget to like and of course comment. I love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. All right, let's keep on with the video. So Flower Beauty recently launched a color corrector, and it's supposed to be infused with CBD. I'm going to read to you what it says on the box. So it says, correct and brighten your under eyes with our peach toned color correcting pot to instantly neutralize dark circles. Your eyes appear illuminated while the nourishing formula infused with hemp-derived CBD hydrates and smooths delicate skin for the perfect concealer base. Now, somebody asked me on Instagram if you can just use it on its own or do you have to use it underneath a concealer? If you have a skin tone where you put it on and it doesn't look too off, like some people, it's a very small majority of people, and I'm sorry, it's a small group of people that can get away with wearing a corrector on its own, where it neutralizes it just enough where it'll kind of go with the rest of your face. But typically you do want to use a corrector underneath a concealer. I just wanted to make a note of that in case I forget to mention it. So it comes in a little glass pot, which I think is so cute. It has like a green metallic kind of print. It says Flower CBD. The top is like a copper kind of rose gold metal thing, or maybe it's plastic, but it looks metal. So this is the color. I'm going to insert swatches up close and kind of you'll see like me warming up the product and swatching it on my hands. And I tried to put it over to cover up like a little vein on my hand because a color corrector is going to neutralize discoloration. So I'll insert that now. So with this product, it is creamy, but it has a very interesting like dry down. So again, I'm just going to pull you guys in close. My shade is light peach. Okay. So I'm going to go in, like you warm up the product. It does get nice and creamy. See? And that's it here. So I just want to make a quick note about something. If you're not familiar with color correctors, how they work, you usually have a light, a medium, and a dark shade. The way you pick your shade is by the darkness or how intense the dark circles are underneath your eyes. So it doesn't really go like if you're super fair, you have to go with light. If you could be fair skin, like porcelain skin, and have like really dark circles. If you were to go with the light color like I have, it's not going to cover it up. It's still going to look ashy. So for example, I am not the best candidate for dark circles. I do have some discoloration. I have like the darkness that likes to kind of settle here. I have a little discoloration here, but because it's not so intense, so dark, I went with light that works for me. But if I were to have like severe dark circles, even with my skin tone, I would probably go for the dark peach. But, and I want to like really emphasize this, with correctors, you do not need to put it completely under your eye. You really want to focus it where you have darkness, okay? Because the point of a corrector is to neutralize the darkness. So I have darkness here, a little bit here, and a little bit out here. If I put it out here, even if I throw my concealer on top, it's going to look funny because then it has nothing to neutralize. Does that make sense? So it'll turn where I put my concealer more like this color, like the salmon color. So let me know, like, if you have any questions about that, comment down below. I'd be more than happy to, you know, explain it to you guys again, or, you know, DM, whatever. Okay, so it is a nice creamy texture. Like you saw when I put my finger in, like my finger does like slide around. I'm gonna swatch it. And I guess it has sort of like a powder dry down, but it's not like, it's not very powdery. I don't know. It has a nice smooth, I think, yeah, the way they described it, where they said it's like a smooth finish, absolutely. That is the finish. You can layer it on a little bit more. But you see how that area, it just brightened up that part of my skin? So I like that. It's not super emollient like, let's say, the Becca corrector. I used to have that one. I don't have it anymore. And it's not emollient like the Bobbi Brown correctors, where they start to settle like in the fine lines. I don't find that with this. Every time I used it, I feel like it stays where I put it and I don't have to worry about creasing. So the best way to show you guys how this works is going to be to put it under one eye, and I'm going to put concealer over top, and then I'm going to put concealer without the corrector on the other eye so you guys can see what it does. Because even though, like I said, I don't have the darkest circles under my eyes, I do have some discoloration. So I'm going to get it. Now you could use a brush, you could use your finger. I'm going to pick some up with a brush. It picks up a nice amount. Like I said, the consistency is, it is creamy, but it's a light, like it's a light texture. So you can layer some on. I'm going to get a little bit close and I'm going to work with this eye. So I'm going to turn, you guys can see that I have darkness here. And I'm going to just pat that on. So for myself, I always have to get like that inner corner. Once I do that corner, it makes a huge like difference. And I'm going to pick up a little bit more and I'm just going to put some right here. This is another spot where I start to get a little bit dark. And it layers on very nice. It doesn't look heavy or anything. And I always go out here. I just have like this discoloration on the outside of my eye. And then I'm going to press with my finger. So now really quick, I went over the parts that I have darkness. I don't know if you guys can see, but like right here where I don't have darkness, it looks more like orangey. So that's what I'm saying. If you put it everywhere and then you put your concealer on top, it's gonna look a little bit off, or those spots will look darker. Okay, that's why you really only wanna put it where you need it. And what's nice about that is once you do correct any darkness under your eyes, you use less concealer. You know, your eyes look brighter, more awake. If you ever notice, and I'm sure many of you have done this because you guys are very curious about this corrector, if you just go with a concealer to kind of color correct, if the concealer is full coverage, then it looks good. But if it's not, it starts to turn ashy, starts to turn gray, and then it almost looks worse than before you color corrected. So I'm just picking up a little bit more and I'm going to press. I just want to show you guys. So I'm going to layer on more where I applied it originally, but I want you to see that it's not like creasing, it's not settling in my little lines. And yes, I do have some fine lines. It just sits it just sits nicely on top, just like that. So I do like that. Okay, I'm going to go over with the RMS Uncover Up. That's kind of like one of my go-to concealers when I'm like in a rush, or, you know, my everyday concealer. This is a pretty emollient concealer. So I'm going to go over where I applied the corrector. Actually, I'm going to go over the whole eye area. I just do a thin layer. It's a decently, the coverage is pretty decent on this. So you can see how it's bright under my eyes. Again, you want to typically use a concealer on top. If you don't, you just have like this little tint that isn't very natural looking. So now I'm going to go over my other eye that I don't have corrector with, just so you guys can see the difference and what tends to happen when you don't use a corrector. So you have the side with the corrector and the concealer, and this is just the side with concealer. Now, I can, for the most part, get away with this, but now that you guys can see both eyes, you can see a difference. You can see that this eye that just has the concealer, it has a little bit of like an ashy tone, a darker tone right here, because for myself, that's where the darkness settles. On this eye, because it neutralized it, it does look like brighter. Like if you look at my eyes, right? This eye just looks like a little bit more lifted than this one. So that's kind of like the magic behind a color corrector. So you can see a noticeable difference between the two. So now I'll take the corrector and I'll put it in this eye, just on top of what I used already. Just so you guys can see how it makes a difference. So, you know, even applying that on top, and you're supposed to do corrector first and concealer first, but I just want to show you like how it corrected that. Because what happens again is if you conceal dark circles with just a concealer, and let's say you do need a corrector, it'll get gray, but that kind of cancels it out. And I always find that like if you're somebody that does have dark circles, sometimes you may overcompensate and use too much concealer, and then it looks heavy, and then it looks creasy, and then it just looks like you have more on than you need. Then I would definitely recommend, hey, use a corrector, because that'll help to kind of cut that, and then you'll see that you don't need that much foundation after, if your problem areas are like, you know, here. Now, I want to quickly mention that you can use this on the face because of the texture, because it's not as emollient. It would sit nice, like if you have a blemish, if you have a dark spot. Don't know if I'm a little bit red here. I mean, peach is usually meant to correct like a blue or purple kind of tones, but I'm using it now on my cheek where I have some redness, and I'll put my foundation on top and see. Let's see how that goes. But if you have like sunspots, that may help to kind of correct that. So let's see. So I just want to quickly say, like, so we have it underneath the foundation, but it's not like disturbing the foundation at all. It covers it nicely, so they wear nice together. The formulas do play nice together. So I just want to even myself out. And yeah, let me know if you guys are going to try this out. I'm very curious to know what your thoughts are. I know a lot of you had requested that I go over this video, so I wanted to give it like a couple days. I wanted to try it out and give you guys like an in-depth review of what I thought of it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.